Thank you guys all for joining us here on this week's Elite Zoom podcast, this week's Zoom call. My guest, my co-host, once again, is Jesus Spear.
What's going on, you guys?
All right. How old are you again?
I'm 19.
19. I keep saying you're 20, but
Me too. Don't worry.
okay, so
It's like 3 more months. Yeah.
I kind of want to have you on today because we had a nice chat this past weekend.
Yeah.
When you're one of the guys that I'm blessed to have an opportunity. You come into the office regularly, and we get a chance to just sit down and talk. You get to tell me what your goals are. You get to tell me what you're looking to do here. But before we get started, I just want to kind of go over something I kind of brought up last week. Yesterday we had the inauguration. We have a new president in office. You watched that, UL?
I did not watch it. I saw like little clips, little highlights.
Yeah.
I saw the Bernie memes.
The Bernie memes.
Social media is how I get my news, which is probably not a good habit.
It's the most reliable source, I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, we have a new president in office, and regardless of wherever you stand on the political spectrum, whatever political party you happen to be part of, I always like to say it doesn't really matter. And not that your political beliefs and your ideology doesn't matter, like all that. This is the reason why America is such a great country, because we have the freedoms to be able to choose. We have the freedoms to be able to like and do whatever we want. That's not illegal.
Yeah.
So, while we can respect everyone's political preferences or whatever the case may be, the thing is, ultimately, I say it doesn't matter because it's still on us. The thing is, there's a new president in office, but the thing is, my life has not changed one single iota.
Yeah.
Has yours?
No.
Yeah. So the thing is, we still are personally responsible for everything that does and doesn't happen in our lives on a local and direct level.
Yeah.
So yeah, sure. The president affects, overreaching policies that, they legislation, they play a certain role in that, wartime things, there's a lot of different things that they perform in their function as that president. But in our day-to-day life, I'm sure it doesn't affect you. Okay. So, I mean, you have to keep that in mind, and let's make sure that we continue to keep that in mind as far as, not getting wrapped up in all this other stuff. Do that on your own time. We're business people first. Let's make sure that we put food on the table, make sure that you continue to grow daily, business wise, and make sure you continue to just go out and just help people out.
Yeah.
So if you just keep those things first, you will continue to grow in size in terms of your business, in terms of your bank account, your influence. If you're just at home on online, like you all said, just going on social media all day long and just participating in that, that's your right. That's your you have freedoms to do that. But how's it really help you?
Yeah.
It's not building your business. It's not helping you grow. And your whatever you're overthinking is probably going to continue to fester, continue to build up, and continue to just take on a life of its own. And so just make sure that you guys take care of what you can first. Think globally, but act locally.
Yeah.
That's what
I like that.
That's just what you got to do.
Yeah. And while just to add on to that,
please.
I like to get caught up on TikTok or social media and stuff like that. But if I don't, I have to put a stop on myself. You know what I mean? Because if I spend 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, that's time that while I'm wasting, saying what's going on, seeing what's going on in politics, I'm getting mad, I'm letting my emotions get the better of me. Somebody else is out there helping other families. Somebody else is making more money than me. Somebody else is growing their business when I could be doing that. You know what I mean? So it's, just take control of it.
Yeah, please.
And I don't think that worrying about something you can't ultimately control is a good life or business strategy in any sense of the word. So, get informed, vote, be part of the process. But once that's done, there's actually nothing you can do about it. And that should actually, it can be a little bit sad, but it should actually liberate you and say, oh, well, I actually have zero control of this outcome.
Right.
But what I do have control of is my life, my business, so on and so forth.
Yeah. Unless you had Trump's number or Joe Biden's number on speed dial. I mean, I don't think it really makes a difference either way. Because the thing, the reality is they're not coming to save you. They're not coming to save your business. You just gotta go out and just go out and put in the work. Invest in your leads. Go see families. Help them out the best you can. Everything's going to work out.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I wanted to bring you on today because I thought we had a pretty funny conversation last week. Yeah. So what happened? You called me on. You came in on Thursday for Dallas.
Yeah.
And then you called me on Friday. So how did this conversation go?
Okay, so mind you, so on Thursday there was no internet life leads available, like in the county that I was working. So I dialed the leads that I had bought on Monday, but I had no luck.
How many did you buy on Monday?
On Monday, about 50.
Okay.
About 50. And then on Friday at like 2 p.m., at like 1 p.m., I called Albert and I was like, hey, there's some leads in my county. There's a lot of them. What would you do, Lou? Like, would you buy them right now, wait till Monday, or would you dial them right now? And you're like, just get them done, like work them in right now. So I bought another 50, and I made like, how many dollars did I make? I gotta do the math. I did like over 300 dials. Okay. And then I had set one appointment, which that just does not work for me. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm really good on the phones. Like I was talking to JP and I was like, like 2 weeks ago, I told him, I was like, I already have 10 appointments set. And he was like, how many leads did you buy? I was like, I bought 30. He was like, that's really, really good. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm really good on the phones. So anyways, I was like super frustrated, just banging my head because nobody was picking up. I only set one appointment out of 50 leads. So I called you and I was like, hey, what do you do? Like, what do you do when you're frustrated? How do you control your emotions? Like, what do you do? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's take a step back here.
Yeah. Because
the thing is, we always hear about, all the money being made at Family First Life. We always hear about how successful people are. So there's the other side of the business. This is a real business. We deal with real life stuff. Mm-hmm. He called me up frustrated. So it's just, when you guys feel frustrated, just understand you're not alone. You're not messing up. It's part of the business.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah. So you called me frustrated, and then
called you frustrated, and then you give me a funny tip. Is it okay if I share it?
Yeah, of course.
He was like, honestly, what I do is that I go on YouTube and I watch like Boiler Room clips or like Wolf of Wall Street of them like being jerks to the client or like fighting back to the client to give you confidence. And I was like, whatever, I'm gonna try it. And it was a good like head clear. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was so funny to hear that. You know what I mean?
So you didn't expect that?
I did not expect that. I was expecting like some like super wise, like Big Al thing. He was like, no, I just go on YouTube, I chill out for a second, get my mind off of it, and then I'm back in it. You like, not that you don't take it serious, but you just don't let it like build up, Yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah. So one of his questions was, how do I keep from being emotional about this whole thing? How do I power through this? And I was like, my first thing was, I was like, first of all, I've gotten to the point now where I'm not emotional about business because it's not personal at all. So I just looked at it like, I've gotten to the point now after being in the business for 14 years where I can just completely divorce emotion from my business. Mm. Obviously, I'm still human, so I still got my flaws, and there's still moments, but overall, I mean, stuff doesn't bother me because it just, I look at it logically. It doesn't affect my business, and the more time I waste being emotional about it, the more it takes me off of track of what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
On top of that, I mean, I think because I'm very blessed to have a big team. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times I know I can't allow any negativity to stay in my mind, because otherwise it's going to permeate throughout the rest of the agency, and it's not fair to everyone else. Mm-hmm. So you learn to compartmentalize. So, part of the things that I used to do when I was running appointments, if I come across a streak where I just got really frustrated, I couldn't book appointments, I would go and watch a silly video. Like I watch Wolf Wall Street or Boiler Room or one of these other YouTube clips. And then it's obviously so ridiculous. You wouldn't talk to clients like that. You wouldn't disrespect people like that. Yeah. But I'm kind of like, yeah. We like, I can associate, identify with them. I'm like, yeah, we got him good on that one.
Yeah, right. You're like, hey, yeah, we got him.
Yeah. So it allows you to be a little bit more bold and just recognize, hey, it happens to everybody. We just need to be a little bit more assertive. And like I heard in one of the trainings on one of the Next Level Live, we're not being pushy. We're standing up for the client.
Yeah.
Right. Because if we don't do that, they're not going to have coverage. If they don't have coverage, they fill out a lead, and if they don't have coverage, we didn't do our job.
Yep.
So they don't get the coverage that they need. They're not protected. Their family's not protected. They lost. Their family lost. We as the agent, we didn't get paid. We lost. So everyone loses. So you just got to push a little bit harder and just try to listen to what their needs are and try to get it done. Mm-hmm. stand up for them.
And it's okay to be uncomfortable, but it's much like we're uncomfortable and telling them, no, you need this. But you know what's a lot more uncomfortable is that when they have to cough up $20,000 that they don't have.
Right.
That's when it gets uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
So you're a young guy. I mean, I think when I was 19, I used to be, I would say, more reserved. I don't know about totally shy, but
yeah,
so at 19, I don't think I could talk to adults like I do now.
Yeah.
But you've always had very good poise for a young guy. So how do you take rejection typically?
I don't mind it. Like I know we were just talking about me being frustrated, but when I'm in the home with a client or even on the phone, I'm like, cool. So yeah. So anyways, like I just move on from it. You know what
Where
I
does
mean?
that come from?
It comes from a position of power. You know what I mean? Because if I think one of the words that you guys say a lot is salesman breath, or what is it? Sales
breath, commission breath.
Yeah, commission breath. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And when you have commission breath, people can feel that off of you. But if you think of like one of the mental switches that I do and like trick myself, is that even if I just have one appointment that day, I'll trick myself into thinking I have 25 more people to talk to. So this person is just another person on a list, whatever they tell me. And it's also a mindset thing. Like I have to prepare. Whatever they tell me, I'm just going to roll it off. They're just being defensive because it is a hard subject to talk about with a 19-year-old who doesn't have kids. It is something that's uncomfortable, but it's my job to make sure that they understand it I'm just there to get them qualified. I tell myself, I was like, I'm not selling them anything. I'm not benefiting them. I'm doing this for them. And then any rejections, anything that I get, it just slides off.
Was this your first sales job?
What?
Was this your first sales job?
Yes. Yeah. I was at Starbucks before. So I was a manager at Starbucks for 2 years. So 16, 17, or 3 years, actually 16, 17, and 18. And I quit in March of last year. Crazy.
So overall, who's more rude? Clients that you call for this or
Starbucks
customers?
Jeez, I cannot. No, I'm gonna be really honest. Like Starbucks people get mad, like mean.
I can imagine.
For no reason. Here, people are calling them. I get it, but Starbucks people are like they're waiting in line for 5 minutes. Like just relax.
So there's a tip if you guys don't know how to take rejection or you want to be able to handle it better. Go get beat up at a Starbucks or something.
Yes, please. Yes, it's good training.
Well, I mean, we kind of joke about that too, but we also have a couple group chats that we have going on. Mm-hmm. So we have one with Yoel and John and Marlon, a few other guys, Clifton, mm-hmm. Derek, JP, and everyone kind of just jokes around. No one takes it seriously because you can't, because like everyone's like cares about one another. Everyone wants each other to be successful, but the thing is, people will like they will make fun of you.
Yeah,
they will give you a hard time. They will bust your chops a little bit. So it's kind of helped everyone condition themselves to like not take anything seriously. Yeah. So, it's, you have to know it's not personal. Like ultimately, what's the ultimate goal? You have to keep that in mind. So, get beat up a little bit. So don't take life too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. It would tremendously help your business.
It's good for you. I was talking to like 2 months ago. I feel like if John's on the call, I'm not sure if he remembers this, but I texted him and I needed a question because you weren't picking up and Misha wasn't picking up. So I texted John and he responded like 3 hours later. And he was like, sorry, I was busy getting no-showed. And that cracked me. He was like, sorry, I was really busy getting no-showed.
But doesn't that make you feel good when you see other people?
Especially when they're better than me, like they're more experienced than me and they make more money than me. And they're like, oh yeah, I was getting no-showed. So what?
Brushed it off.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's everyone else goes through the same thing. So just don't feel like you're alone out there. And if you guys do need somebody to vent to, because I mean, like me personally, like I mentioned, I don't get emotional about business anymore. However, there are moments when things kind of just build up and then, or there's certain things I have not encountered before and it's just a different challenge. So the thing is, it kind of starts to accumulate a little bit. And then I kind of get a little bit stressed. Doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while. But that's the time when I reach out to Sean. I'll reach out to Andrew Taylor. I'll reach out to Jack Yu. I mean, people that are in a better position than I am, that have more experience than I have. So, I vent to them. I try not to do it very often because I don't want to develop a reputation of being a whiner or a complainer either, because that's the worst thing to me ever.
Yeah.
But I reach out to them. I tell them like, hey, I'm getting stuck here, or I don't know what's going on. Like, what should I be doing in this situation? And I do it. Typically, most of the time, as I'm talking to them, as it's leaving the words are leaving out of my mouth,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that sounded really stupid. And I don't know why. I don't know why I was thinking that. I don't know why I got stuck with that, or I don't know why I even thought it was important, because I may not like it, but it's really not that important overall.
Yeah. And I don't want to fall into, like I've told you this before, I don't want to fall into the stereotype of like being a 19-year-old who just everything is given to him and he's a whiner and a complainer. And I definitely don't want to be a 30-year-old who still whines and complains about stuff that he can't control. You know what I mean?
Right.
If it was stuff that I can't control, okay. But if it's stuff that I can control, like my lead flow, how many appointments I book, and my activity, I can't complain or whine. You know what I mean? But sometimes you do really have to vent just a little bit, you know?
Yeah. Well, you don't complain, otherwise you and I wouldn't talk.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I mean, but yeah, you know, once I vent to Andrew and Sean or Jack or whoever, once I get it out of my system, I do it to John too, because like John's comment, I know nothing can really get him down.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really care that much, so I'll just tell him I vent and then like get it off my chest, and then I move on. I don't think about it anymore, and I've moved on. And so it's also very important. I just want to caution all of you guys, if you guys are frustrated with something, think about it first. See if it's going to be important a week from now, a couple days from now. If it's going to be important a year from now, 5 years from now. If it's not, you'll get over it.
Yeah.
And then if it is something that's a little bit more fresh and you can't quite get over, find someone to talk about it with, just to vent about it. Try to only, if you're going to complain because you're trying to seek out a solution. Okay. Because the thing is, if you don't do that, then it starts to kind of harbor in you and starts to build up. And then definitely don't be unfair to everybody else. Don't ruin someone else's opportunity. Don't ruin someone else's day because you're venting to someone who's not prepared for that.
Yeah.
So don't go and talk to, hey, I'm upset about something. Let me go talk to all my downlines and let me just tell everyone.
Discourage everybody.
Everyone's just gonna just be in a worse off place. And you know, we're responsible to one another. Mm-hmm. You know, here on this team with FFL Elite, you know, I take it very seriously, and I understand the impact that we all have on one another. So I mean, I just try to be responsible as much as I can. I'm still human. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but ultimately, as long as everyone is trying to do better for themselves, you know, we'll accept you for everything that you are. But be responsible to your fellow coworkers, your fellow business partners. You know, make sure you talk to the right people about certain situations. And you know, if you ever don't know who that is, reach out to me. I pick up.
And to piggyback off of that, like I don't want any confusion. Because I feel like some new agents are like, oh, you know, I'm frustrated because nobody picked up the phones, but they only had like 10 leads or 5 leads. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I had 50 leads. I had 50 leads. I dialed in morning and afternoon twice, like over 300 dials that I did. So I did everything correctly. So I was like, okay, I think I'm allowed to like go to Albert and ask for advice because I did everything I was supposed to. Something's going on, but also I don't want to bring my frustration to the next person that picks up the phone because they don't deserve that. You know what I mean? Because I think Stephen Yee, on one of his YouTube videos, he said that even if I make a sale or even if I get rejected, my next person or my next dial, they don't deserve any of my happiness or
True.
any of my sadness or anything like that. I'm gonna be like straight face the whole time, which is cool.
Well, I mean, I think that's why I appreciated when you called me on Friday. You said, hey, I'm really frustrated. Here's how many leads I have. Here's how many dials I made. Because the thing is, sometimes people will say like, I can't get anyone on the phone, and you know, no one's picking up, and I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, my first question is always going to be, how many leads do you have?
Yeah.
And then they're like, I think I have. And I'm like, what do you mean you think you have? Like, either you have enough leads or you don't.
Yeah.
And I'm almost always, invariably, if you had enough leads, you're gonna be fine. But if you have, like you mentioned, like 10 leads, I don't know. I can't, like, who can do anything about that? Like, no one. Like, doesn't matter who you complain to. Like, that's on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're Alvaro, and you can make it work with two leads.
Yeah, unless like AJ last week, he had bought 2 leads and wrote 1,300.
No way.
Yeah, but that's not a good business plan. Just to reiterate,
spent $22 and made $1,300. It's not bad.
So after you took my advice, you watched a couple of videos. Then what'd you do after?
After that, I took a little 30-minute break. I spent some time with my girlfriend who got home. And then I got back on the phones for a little bit. Still, nobody picked up, nothing. So I only had one appointment for Saturday. You want to talk about what happened Saturday?
Yeah, please.
So then on Saturday, okay, little backstory on Friday. So Friday after my dials, I went to the gym at like 10 p.m. at night because I was like, I want to run. I just want to get my frustration out. I want to get this energy out. So I took pre-workout. I took a whole scoop. If you guys work out, you take a whole scoop of pre-workout at night. I messed up bad time, especially since I cycled off. So I didn't sleep at all that night. So it was like 6 a.m. and I opened my eyes and my alarm went off and I was like, I can't do this right now. And my appointment was 2 hours away. So I didn't sleep at all. My appointment was 2 hours away. And in like 80% of my mind was like, just don't go. It's one appointment. You're probably not going to close them. But then I was like, nope, this one could be what changes everything. Like this one could turn everything around. So I drove to Palm Desert. And then I closed them. It was a sit down sell. I showed up and this guy I didn't tell you this, by the way. So this guy was a millionaire. Very cool story, actually. So this guy was like, he was a Japanese guy, very, very beautiful house, huge estate, right? Like bunch of cars. And I showed up, like 75-year-old man walks out, super cool guy. Hiroshi's his name. And he walks out and he's like, okay, listen, I don't believe in life insurance. I think it's a scam. I can make more on the stock market, whatever. But I need the security. And I thought that was super cool because he was like, listen, I have like 5 annuities that I put like millions of dollars into. He showed me his everything, bank statements. He was like, I'm set. I'm cool. If I die, this house is going to be sold. My cars are good. Everything is fine. His nephew in Japan is going to take everything. But he was like, but I just want to make sure my funeral expenses are taken care of. How much is $10,000? And he understood. I didn't tell you this, but he understood the security of having a life insurance policy. You know what I mean? So that was really cool, but it was a sit down.
Smart guy.
Super smart guy.
Lay down.
Yeah.
Lay
down. I was like, I think I explained it and I showed him the quotes. He was like, okay, what's next? And I was like, I didn't expect it. And I was like, I just need your driver's license and your checking and routing. He was like, all right, here you go. Let's do it. And it was cool.
That is cool because so many people think, oh, well, they go through and they overanalyze the lead.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh, I think this guy has a lot of money or he has a lot of insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean anything. Just show up.
Yep. Yeah.
Show up and do your job. You know, get your yes or you get your no, whatever it is. You resolve that lead, move on.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not for us to determine I'm going to sell every single one or certain ones are just doomed and they're not going to work. Mm-hmm. For every lead that you have, your job is to resolve it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's not our job to judge anything. So it was really cool. Having him explain it to me that it's important for him to have that security. I was like, I mean, you got it.
Yeah. We've talked about this before too. You know, when people have people that have money, people that are rich, it doesn't mean they don't need life insurance because they can self-insure. A lot of times they get it because they know the value of it.
Yep.
They're spending pennies on the dollar to be able to get much more money in return so they can spend more of the money that they currently have, or they get money for estate taxes and take care of all the taxes so they can transfer the money, the wealth transfer part later. I mean, there's so many reasons. So don't prejudge anything. Just know that if you have a lead, just go out and see them.
And even he was like, well, the market's doing okay, but just in case something happens, just in case something crashes, anything, I just want to make sure that I have at least my burial covered. You know what I mean? So that was cool.
Okay, so you got your sale with this gentleman. So what happened from there?
I got that sale. That was $1,400, which is not bad for one sale. Yeah. $1,400. And then I was listening to this podcast. Jordan Belfort, he like popped up. I mean, I was listening to the time when he went to prison and what he was thinking and everything. And he told this story. Is it cool if I share it real quick?
Please.
He was telling this story that when he was a little kid, when he was like a teenager, he was on Venice Beach and it was like 110 degrees outside. And he was like, you know what would be really cool if I sold popsicles out here? You know what I mean? He was like, I'll sell them for $1 a pop. It'd be really, really cool. So long story short, he tells his friends about it, right? He made like $500 in one day selling 4 coolers. So he told 4 of his friends about it. And 3 of them only sold 1 cooler, right? The other ones sold 4 coolers. Now, back then in like 19 whatever, minimum wage was like $1.50. So he was making more than doctors were making. $500 a day back then is like what your parents are making. You know what I mean? So only one of his friends made the $500 while the other 3 only sold 1 cooler. So he was like, so there's 1 cooler people and then there's 4 cooler people. And he kind of just went on this whole like thing explaining it. And as I was driving home from that appointment, our natural thing is like, oh, I made $1,300. I'm going to go home because I'm tired. I didn't sleep.
And I don't have any more appointments.
Exactly. And I didn't have any more appointments, but I had leads out there that I just bought and I hadn't resolved yet. So I went door knocking for a little bit. What happened? Oh, so I went door knocking and I was in the car and I was basically talking to myself and I was like, what if I just showed up and told them we had an appointment? You know what I mean? And I was like getting scared because I've never done that. And that takes a lot of confidence to do.
Where'd you hear that from?
Where did I hear that from? I think I heard it on
one of the trainings.
Sean
Mike
trainings.
talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, Misha
Misha,
talked about
yep.
it, but I mean, Sean Mike always talks about it. Like, you don't need two people to make an appointment.
Yeah.
If you have a lead for him, he's like, just show up. Nah, they dispatched me. I'm here.
Yeah. So I kept hearing it. You know what I mean? My upline Misha kept saying it too, but it was like going in
Misha's mentioned it.
Yeah. So anyways, I was like, what if it just clicked? You know, I've always heard it, but I was like, what if I just do it? Like, what's the worst that can happen? They're gonna tell me no. You know.
You're like the most non-threatening human.
I'm like ever. A 170-pound brown guy. I'm like, hey.
So you show up to the door. What was your approach? What did you say?
Okay, so I showed up to the door. And I was like, hey, we have an appointment. This was the first time I did it. I was like, hey, we have an appointment at like 2:15. Do you want my shoes on or off? And they were like, what? And then so the husband picked up the door, so he brought out his wife. And she was like, well, came out, this Karen, right? She walks out and she's like, what is this life insurance? I think it's for your mom, you know, this. And she was like, oh, that's probably Denise, my sister. She never tells me. And come on in. So I give 2 quotes, but I guess the sister's like the financial advisor of the house. So I just left quotes and I gave my cards, and I'm actually going to follow up with him today after this. But that built up my confidence. You know what I mean? And I was like, I went on Batch Geo, which you can see all the locations. And a good mental trick too is if like you don't want to door knock, just go to one house. And if you have a concentrated county, then it's just each house is like 5 minutes away.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you'll do an hour of door knocking, but in your head you're like, oh, it's just 5 minutes. It's a sale.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then I went to the next house. The husband is pulling out of the driveway. I mean, this guy's a jerk. Right. I like to park in front of driveways just so that nobody leaves while I'm door knocking. But this guy's pulling out and I'm like, 1 second, sir. So I pulled back, let him come. And he's like, hey, what do you want? I was like, oh, here we go. And I was like, hey, we have an appointment at 2:45 for your wife, Annabelle. And he's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, I showed him the lead form. And I was like, she filled this out. You know, her date of birth is this, right? He was like, yeah, that's her. I was like, yeah, she sent this in. We have an appointment. He goes in, the wife comes out. She's like, nope, didn't talk to anybody. You're lying. She was like, you're lying. I didn't talk to anybody. She was like, I don't talk to anybody either. My company just has me dispatched out here. But we do have an appointment today. My company just told me to show up. But you sent this in, right? And she was like, yeah, but I got the information online. I was like, no, you didn't. I was like, a field underwriter needs to come out and give you the information. So that's not true. Which as soon as that happened, it was like pushback mode. You know what I mean? Because I knew there was going to be pushback with them. And then the husband was like, can you just give us the codes? And I was like, no, I got to sit down. Do you got a table? He was like, yeah, but I don't want you to come inside. I was like, that's cool. I got more appointments to go. If you don't want to sit down with me, just send this to client for coverage. And he was like, wait a minute. So he brings me on a table. We sit down. He's like, I'm not buying anything. I was like, fair, whatever. So then I do the whole appointment. And he's like, but I showed him a quote with America. He's like, but that's not the cheapest option. I was like, it is. I was like, we work with over 18 and my job is to give you the cheapest. I'll run through everything and show you if that's what you want to do. He was like, State Farm can give me cheaper. I was like, no, they can't. I was like, I can guarantee it. Our prices are the best. It's like, I'll go through every single one. So I rebutted him. I got uncomfortable in that situation. And he was like, okay, whatever, just do it. And I was like, okay, we just got to do the application right now. You want to do this price? He's like, yeah, let's do that one. And I was like, let's just see if we can get you qualified. And then after we did the application, long story short, we did the application. And he's like, I have a policy that's going to expire next year. Can you come back next week for me? So he was like the nicest guy after the application. But yeah, that was really, really cool.
Yeah, you just got to kind of break through a little bit. You got to establish who you are, and then just power through. A lot of times people have apprehension. They don't want to let you in because they don't know if they can qualify. It's a lot of uncertainty. So I mean, that's, it's something that you guys have to just be more assertive and stand up for the client and just get your job done.
Mm-hmm. And even like the wife was nodding the whole time, like, oh yes, we need this. And then the husband was like, nope, we don't need this. We're good. And I was like, sorry, what was your work again? He's unemployed right now. He's out of work because his restaurant shut down. And I was like, sorry, do you have $10,000 laying around to pay for the coverage? No. Does your wife? No. Okay. Who's going to pay for it? You know what I mean? And then Latin culture, for a younger guy to do that to an older Latin dude, you either must really know what you're talking about, or like you must really, really know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think after that, his guard went down. So yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta call out the client.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes they just put out this false bravado and they act like they got way more than they actually have. It's because they don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to actually deal with it right now.
Mhm.
So the thing is, if you don't stand up for them and force them to think about it and force them to give you a no at the very least,
Mhm.
if you don't do this right now, they're not going to think about it later.
Mhm.
You know, they're trying to avoid it with you in front of them.
Mhm.
Like they're not going to go and think about this on their own. So if they don't do that, they're going to be left without coverage. And when they pass away, and it's a matter of when, because it's not a matter of if,
Yep.
it's a matter of when. And when they do, their family's in a worse off position.
And the client, even he was like, after I went over everything, I explained how the product works. He was like, I got to think about it. And I was like, well, we're all here. Let's think about it together.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it definitely showed that he was just hesitant because he thought it was going to be something really scary, really overly complicated. But after I showed him and I was like, hey, you got approved, like instant approval, like congrats. That's something to be happy about. And then he was like, oh, okay, cool. He was like, stayed back. He was like, when is the payment coming out? I was like, probably tomorrow. He's like, cool. So he was all chill after that. So that was cool.
Oh, cool. That's a really cool story. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
So what'd you do after that?
After that, I door knocked 6 more houses. By that time, it was already like 5 p.m. That was in Palm Desert. So I hit all the houses in Palm Desert. I drove back up. And then I hit more houses in Beaumont. Nothing. But still, if I hadn't been like, I got to do something, I can't just.
But I mean, even if you didn't sell, if you went home and you put in the effort, don't you feel a lot better?
Oh, absolutely. You know, I felt so much better. I felt better off of that second sale, even though it was only $400 AP. I felt so much better about that second one than the first laydown, because I know that I wouldn't have gotten it if I didn't push through that barrier that I put up myself. You know,
and it's not the dollar amount either, because sometimes people will text me that they're like, "Oh, I made a sale, but it's only $400. It's only $300."
Mhm.
I'm like, it's not only anything. Like that's all the client could
Could.
afford, or
Yep.
that's all they needed, or whatever they needed at that time. So,
Mhm.
just your situation alone. I mean, if you're talking about the rich guy that's a millionaire, like he got a $10,000 policy.
Yeah.
His family would survive without it.
Yeah.
But the second guy, it's only $400, but his family really need it. He's unemployed.
And actually, they were only 49 years old, so they were really, really young. So they had a lot more death benefit than with any other company. So it was cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool story. And so if you guys are ever in a position where you guys are frustrated, just go out and take some action.
Mhm.
You know,
Get warmed up.
Jesus talked about the night that he was frustrated. He went and took a bunch of pre-workout and then went to the gym and couldn't sleep.
Dude, oh my God.
So that's the thing. Like if you're stuck in a place, just go do something physical.
Mhm.
You know, to get the blood flowing. A lot of times, you know, just that action alone will get you in the right mindset.
Mhm.
Because this thing is, if you sit there and just watch TV, you sit there on your couch sulking, you will not improve your situation.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
And it's also like it's a total mindset thing. You know what I mean? Like while I'm in the gym, I'm either listening to like an FFL USA YouTube video, or I'm listening to like a training, or I'm listening to like Les Brown or somebody, just so that my subconscious mind is telling me I can, I will, I'm a champion. Like even if it's cheesy cliches like that, whatever gets you through it. Like even if you have to tell yourself while you're driving, just one more. I just need one more. I just need one more. And then that one more shows up, and then there you go.
Yeah. And plus, I remember when you made your first sale of that day.
Mhm.
After the day you called me frustrated, the
Mhm.
first thing you posted, and I just texted you right away. I'm like, was that the appointment?
Yeah.
And I'm like, aren't you glad you did it? And so
Mhm.
make sure you guys are reaching out to your uplines if you guys are getting frustrated, or if you guys need a little bit of advice, because sometimes that little bit of feedback will kind of just change your thinking, and that's all we need sometimes. It's just a minor tweak. This job is very simple.
Mhm.
You know, people fill it out, you go and see them, presents 5-10 minute presentation, and then you present the options. We're order takers, as Sean always talks about.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just present the options and then just go from there. So the thing is, sometimes we get stuck in our own head because of the thinking that we've developed for ourselves.
Mhm.
So sometimes you need to clear that up. So if you talk to someone that's in your upline, and like Jesus reached out to me, so I'm like, cool. And so, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, all right, let's just make sure we talk about this again.
Mhm.
Let's make sure we continue down this right path.
Mhm.
You know, and if you didn't communicate that with me, I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't have known. Yeah.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And if I could just add one more
Please.
thing, the week prior, on Monday I bought the 50 leads and nothing, so I spent like $500 whatever, and I didn't have an ROI at all. And then on Thursday, that I was like double frustrated because I was like, I didn't sell anything this week. I got to do something. But something that is like a mantra here at FFL is that we say like, oh, the field owes you. Like if this isn't the week, like next week is going to be the week. You know what I mean? You just got to stay true to it. And I feel like just those 2 sales on Saturday like summarizes that statement, saying like the field will owe you. But yeah, that was.
The field owes you if you put in the work.
Yes. Yeah.
If you don't put in any work, it owes you nothing.
Yeah,
And you
absolutely
will get exactly that.
Yeah.
So-
You definitely, it's repetitions. That's all it is. Like, don't change anything. Buy your leads, call them, buy your leads, call them. And if that week, like we always say, you'll have a bad week, but you'll never have a bad month.
Right.
That could not be true here at FFL. Like if you just stay true and stay consistent with everything, it'll play itself out.
Okay. So before we wrap up, you came to office on Monday too,
Yes.
and you were talking about you wanted to grow, you wanted to you obviously you want to build an agency,
Yes.
you want to improve your production, you just want to get better.
Yeah.
So what did we talk about?
We talked about my goals. One of the things, so one of my, what's it called? One of the things that I want to work on. Oh my gosh, my phone's not muting. I'm sorry. One of the things that I really want to work on is development. Like I want to grow in every single aspect. So I was telling you that I'm a 19-year-old, you know, I don't have kids. I don't have a family. I don't have any sense of like urgency.
You don't have real bills.
Exactly. You know, like I don't have $10,000 of bills. I have my bills, my car bills, whatever, but I don't have a mortgage or anything like that. So one of the things that I've wanted to work on with you one-on-one is that I want to develop my clear visions. Because then I have something to work towards, you know what I mean? Or if not, I'm just nomadically here at FFL making a couple grand a month, you know what I mean? But I don't want to do that. I want to build something serious. I want to build something generational, and I want to build something that will last and benefit other people other than myself. So then we sat down and we talked, and then basically we made a bet.
It wasn't a bet. I gave you an ultimatum.
He gave me an ultimatum. Yes. He gave me an ultimatum that if I don't hit gold producer 20K a month by the end of February, or if I don't hit sales manager by the end of February, that I shave my head. And that's the ultimatum essentially.
So we'll shave his head here on a Zoom podcast. So you got to make sure you do it. He's got a really nice head of hair.
I do.
So if you don't,
yeah,
you know what's at stake here.
Yeah. I know. Trust me. I just got a haircut just so I can, one more time.
So everyone else hold him accountable.
Yeah.
And let him know he probably looks better with hair than without hair.
Yeah. I got big ears, so bald head doesn't work.
But I'm we did that just for fun, but I'm holding you to it.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I love when people want to improve, want to continue to get better. And sometimes you just need to reach out to somebody. So make sure you guys stay connected with everybody else. Is kind of thing. I know I'm super blessed. I know how blessed I am to have this team around me.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to help each other out.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if you don't know who that is yet, reach out to your upline, reach out to any one of these guys that have been on here, because they're all very helpful. Reach out to me. Okay. So yeah. Any last bit of advice you want to share with everybody?
And I want to thank you, because I feel like one of the cool things about here in FFL, and I'll be talking to the Zoom and you also, is that I feel like at any other IMO, everybody, like your upline is like forcing you, like, oh, you have to grow, you have to grow, you have to grow. And sometimes it's not your season, or sometimes it doesn't click. You know what I mean? So you've never, put onto me like, hey, like grow, like make this much, like do this. You know what I mean? You kind of just let me figure it out myself, because that's more, the longevity in that is much more, you know what I mean? So I do want to thank you for always being there, and I'm super blessed to have like a cool upline, mentor, whatever you want to call it, X name, to kind of stay there with me as I'm like in this journey. And that, like, for all you guys too, like literally, like once you guys, because you can't force anybody, you can't force anybody when they're not ready, you know what I mean? So you could have told me a year ago, hey, you're only making $4,000 a month. What's going on? Why are you here? But you just let me grow within myself and realize, hey, I got to snap out of it. And you let me come to you. And then you were super like, yeah, let's do it. So I wanted to thank you for that, brother.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the president talk thing we were talking about earlier. It all has to be personal responsibility that we're taking upon ourselves, and then just understand the impact you have on everybody else. If we do that, we're going to be in a great position. We're continuing to grow. We're continuing to dump money into our business. We're going to continue to make sure we create the best platform for everyone out there for you guys to be able to grow. So I'm super excited. I'm super thankful. Once again, if you have not signed up for the national convention yet, make sure you go on and register. And I will see you guys there at the Phoenix one. If not, I will see you guys sometime soon virtually.
Yeah.
All right. So appreciate Jesus for coming
Thank you,
on. And thank you guys all for coming on. Appreciate you guys. Let's make it a great day. Let's make it a better week. Let's get it.
See y'all convention.